I don't think that one, is that city or? No, because I don't need the phone.
Hello.
Hello.
Hi, this is Denise Menchaca, Mayor for the City of San Gabriel.
Hello.
Hi, I'm probably early. I just wanted to make sure it worked.
No, yeah, it's a very good approach, and so far so good.
Okay, just to make sure, so you can see my picture, but you can't see me, correct?
Yes, that's right.
And there is a picture there.
There is a picture there. Yep.
Oh, so it's working. Okay.
It's working. Yep.
And this is me.
Hi.
Okay, so thank you, Katie. Well, then I'll just remove my the camera and I'll just wait.
Sounds good.
Okay, thanks.
Thank you for calling the Pasadena Dermatology and
He's just
Hmm?
I change it up.
It's
It's on the rocks. It's not such.
after this call first. Hi, Alex.
No, now it's unmuted.
Hello.
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 Good time.
Hello.
Hello, welcome.
Hi.
Hi.
This is Charles Trevino, Upper San Gabriel. Can you hear me?
Hi, Charles.
Hi there.
Yes.
This is Albert Emery, City of Irwindale.
Hi, Cynthia. It's Denise Menchaca from San Gabriel.
Hi, Denise.
Hey, Denise.
Hey, Charles.
Hi, it's Gloria Olmos, Sotomani.
Hi, Gloria.
Hey, Gloria.
Hi.
Hi, it's Becky, Monrovia.
Maggie Clark, Rosemead.
Hi, Maggie.
Hi, Maggie.
Hi.
Albert Emery's Irwindale.
What did you say, Cynthia?
I said hello.
Oh, I thought you said I looked hot, and I do. I am.
April. Hi, April. She might be muted. I think
Oh.
Hi, this is Peter, Monterey Park.
Hi, Peter.
Hi, Peter.
Hi, Cynthia.
Hey, Peter.
Hi.
This is so much fun, isn't it?
It can be. Now that I'm finally getting the hang of it, it is fun.
You see me or no? This is Jerry.
Hi, Jerry.
Can you see me or no?
I can't see you, but I have to.
Jerry who?
Velasco.
Oh, okay.
Hi, Jerry.
Hey, Jerry.
Hi.
Hi, Jerry.
I can't see myself, but I guess you could hear me.
Yeah, we can hear you.
Press
It's
the
better
plus
if you don't
button
see
on the
each
bottom, Jerry, and then you can slide.
What?
Press the plus button on the bottom corner, right hand corner. Press the plus button and then slide, and you can see the different people, including yourself.
Maybe we don't want to see each other. Okay.
That's a possibility.
If you don't want to be seen, then don't press that.
Right.
Oh, it says Elmani, Jerry, so you're getting closer.
Who's this? Who's this? Denise?
Menchaca.
What are you doing there? Oh, Lord. Okay.
Wait, is that Jason?
Let's see.
Jason should be on too.
So last time we had problems trying to get a point across, and hopefully we were muted most of the time and we couldn't get in. So hopefully we can reply.
Jerry, I think they just muted you.
I think so. I think that's what it was.
Okay, Jerry, you see the person on the top right-hand corner, kind of the second one to the right?
I don't see anything. I just see you. I
You
just
see
see
where it
you.
says participate, and you
Says
see a
live.
picture. If you listen, sir, you see a picture of a shadow of a person. It says participant. If you click on that, it shows you where you could raise your hand. You can say yes or no. It has different things you could do.
Yeah.
Yes, so that's why if you didn't raise your hand or you didn't say anything, then you can't speak.
Okay.
Gloria, Gloria, were you a teacher?
Yes, I
Yes.
was.
He still acts like one.
I know. It's the mother in me, you just can't get it out of you.
She's very patient.
Yes.
I don't think so. I don't think so.
It's because, look I just taught you two things, Jerry. That's being patient.
But thank you very much. But I
You're
know
welcome.
Denise will be there to take care of me. Hi, Denise.
I'm gonna pass that on to
card.
Gloria.
You see that? See that? Hey, we got that, Jerry. Okay.
All right, and Gloria will be there.
I think
to
she's
take
a
care
little
of me.
more adverse.
Cynthia, can you mute Jerry again, please?
I still don't see myself, but that's okay.
Well, why don't you ask if you're at City Hall, have somebody help you?
No, I'm not at City Hall. I'm going to
No.
another meeting from here. I'm going to the hospital. For
Okay, you didn't press the plus button on the bottom right corner of the screen. See the plus button?
Right hand.
You press
No,
that.
I don't see a plus. I just see more.
Let
me
It
see where
says
it
plus
says
and
more.
minus. Okay, if you're on more, you're on the top. You need to go to the bottom right corner.
Minimize meeting settings. Meeting settings. Let me see.
No.
I better leave it alone. At least you can hear me. At least I can hear you guys.
True, you can't hear.
No, I like just watch you guys. You guys look beautiful.
Well, thank you. Wow, we got a compliment from Jerry. All right.
Yeah.
He just needs you, Gloria. That's all.
I guess so. Right? It's like that big brother syndrome. You pick on you because you're a little sister. It's like, geez, dude, come on.
How come there's only ladies talking?
Because you don't know how to work your thing.
Oh, okay.
No one's asked me to talk, and I'm just listening.
Oh, now I hear somebody.
When they say you can talk, Tim, I'll talk. Otherwise, I'll wait for them to tell me.
The ladies are smarter than we are.
That is a foregone conclusion for sure.
He wants to make brownie points.
Gloria?
Yes, ma'am.
It's Nancy. I can't get I hear you're the expert. How do I get my picture in this box?
Okay, do you see the bottom right-hand corner? It has a little square and it has a plus and a minus sign. If you press the plus on the left side, then you'll see all the screens open up and you could just slide your finger to the left and you'll start to see everybody's face that you want to see.
I see everybody's face. I don't see my face.
Yeah,
You should be the first one on the left then as you come in.
Now April.
How do you have that background, Jerry?
Maybe it's our phone.
Jerry, hey. I want one of those.
Oh my God. That's scary. Oh boy. Oh, he's gone. That's
Okay.
scary.
I was
you
just
see
laughing.
me?
Like, let me see his background.
There we
Can
go.
you see me?
All right.
Can you
It's
see me?
like 50
Not
years
yet.
ago.
Can you see-
Oh
Oh
my,
my God, you see the background? Oh, I'm in the
Yes.
bathroom.
oh my God. That's when you were with Ricardo Montalban, huh?
Oh my God.
No, it's Eric
That
Estrada.
back- How do I get rid of the background? Are you seeing that
You
background?
just move. Move. Or you have it as like your screen.
Yeah, I don't know.
Oh,
I don't know how I set
God.
it up. I can't.
Somebody's
That's
dog.
what I was like, the gigolo. So I want to get rid of that.
What was that?
Marissa,
I couldn't hear
I
it.
see Charles Trevino.
you are
Picture.
muted.
No,
I
you
am
don't.
not muted.
No,
You were muted. Now you're muted.
my video should be muted.
Marissa, do we know if we have a quorum? I can only see 4 people, so I.
If you slide your thing to the left, you'll see everybody else.
I think we have a quorum. Let me double check because we have so many people.
We have
It's
46
46.
participants.
So I
46.
guess we have to, but I would say yes. Katie, do you want to jump in? Do we have a quorum?
Yes, we do.
Okay.
Okay.
move to adjourn.
Okay, it's about 4:03, so we're going to call this meeting to order. And Katie, would you please provide with a quick overview of the instructions on voting and asking questions during the meeting?
Sure, I'll be happy to. So good afternoon, everyone, and thank you for joining us today. Just want to take some time to review the Zoom functionalities for the meeting. And I know a lot of us, we did this at the last meeting last month, but I just wanted to review it because I think we have a lot of new faces here today. So the first is the raise hand feature. And to minimize disruptions, as you can see, we're basically in the process, we're going to be muting everybody automatically. And then in order to unmute yourself, staff has to call on you to be unmuted. So in order for us to facilitate knowing when you would like to speak, we're asking you to use the raise hand feature on Zoom. So you can see here, there's instructions in case you don't know where it's at. So go ahead and test it out a little bit, but make sure when you don't have a question to not raise your hand, because then we'll call on you if you do have a question, because we look at that raise hand and we really pay attention to it. So and then again, we'll monitor this throughout the meeting to make sure that we address any questions that come up, and it will be in the order it is received. So if you raise your hand and then another person raised their hand, you'll still be in front and we'll know that you did it first. And then for the next slide, if you could go, Sam. And this is just showing when we ask you to be unmuted, you'll see a little window pop up, and that is where you can click to unmute yourself, and then you should be able to speak. Next slide. So the next part of our instructions is to go over the voting. So to facilitate voting on the items for the agenda today, we want to use the yes, no icon features on Zoom. When the president calls for a motion, you could use the raise hand feature again to make a motion, and that kind of prompts us to unmute you as well. And then you can also do this if you want to be the second to that motion. And so once there is a motion and a second for the motion, that is the point where you would use these little icons for yes and no to cast your vote. So you can see the instructions here on how to do it. And then the other part of this, oh yes, go ahead.
I don't have anything on my screen except the little cog symbol.
So there should be an instruction bar if you like scroll down. I know it's a little bit different on iPad. Do you see the bottom part where it has the participants?
No, that's up on top for me where it says participants, and then it says more.
Yeah, then you should be able to hit more, and it should give you the options to use the icons.
It has a thumbs up.
Oh, so the icons are.
The option, Cynthia.
Options?
Hit participant. And then you'll see the people, but the hands and all that stuff will be down below, the raise hands and all that.
You know what, this is an iPad Pro they brought me over, and I'm not familiar with it, but I only have, I'll just wave if I need to raise my hand. That's all right.
Sorry about that, Cynthia.
This is Ed Reese with Claremont. My video was working and then it got turned off and it won't let me start it again. It says the host stopped my video.
Yeah, so we're trying to have no video during the meeting only because there is a lot of people on here and we're trying to minimize. I know not everyone has really strong internet connection, so we're hoping that that helps with that. So yeah, we're trying to turn off the videos when we see them come on. So sorry about that. Not that we don't want to see your beautiful faces. It's just we're trying to make sure that the meeting there isn't any lag or anything. Yes.
Sorry, this is Florencio, the first district. I understand if we wanted to vote on an item, we can select yes or no. If we need to abstain on an item,
Yes, and that was just getting ready to say that at the end of my instructions. That will be, you'll raise your hand and then we'll call upon you and then you can say you want to abstain from a particular item. If you could list all the items and then say you're fine, I guess, with any of the other items, that would be super helpful for us to kind of streamline everything.
Let me ask the question. To vote, do you have to put raised hands if you're just voting?
No, you would just use the icon if you see the yes or no icon. Yeah. And I think that is all for the instructions on voting. Does anyone have any questions? All right.
Okay, Katie, I didn't hear questions. So can you please mute everybody except April, who I'm going to ask to lead us in the Pledge of Allegiance?
Yes.
April, would you please stand and lead us in the Pledge of Allegiance?
Sure. Go ahead, place your right hand over your heart and repeat after me. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with life, liberty, and justice for all. Thank you.
Would you please conduct the roll call?
Yes, Madam President. The city of Alhambra. All right, the city of Arcadia.
Hold on. Here.
Thank you.
I muted.
Thank you. City of Azusa.
You didn't unmute me.
Alhambra's here.
All right, city of Bowen Park. Bradbury. Claremont.
Here.
Thank you. City of Covina.
Here.
I know Nancy is on. Duarte.
Here.
Elmani.
Here.
Laura. Michael is on too. Industry.
Here.
Thank you.
Boss.
Irwindale.
Here.
La Cañada Flintridge. La Puente.
La Puente here.
Thank you. Laverne.
Here.
Thank you. Monrovia.
Here.
Thank you. Montebello.
Here.
Thank you, Jack. Monterey Park.
Here.
Peter. Pomona.
Here.
Thank you, Tim. City of Rosemead.
I know Maggie is on.
Right, yeah. Rosemead.
I'm here. Can you hear me now?
Yes, Maggie.
Thank you.
Thank you.
It's crazy.
San Dimas.
San Dimas is here.
Thank you, Dennis. San Gabriel.
San Gabriel here.
Here.
Thank you. San Marino. Sierra Madre.
John Capocha here.
Thank you, John. South El Monte.
She's here.
Gloria is definitely here.
She's here.
South Pasadena.
Here.
Here.
Thank you. Temple City.
Here.
Thank you. Walnut.
Here.
Thank you, Alan. City of West Covina.
Tony was here.
Thank you, Tony. LA County District 1.
Present.
Thank you. LA County District 4.
Here.
Thank you. LA County District 5.
Here.
San Gabriel Valley Water Districts.
Here.
All right, thank you all very much. Madam President, we do have a quorum.
I didn't hear you call Glendora.
Oh, we did mark you as present, Michael. Thank you very much.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you.
Okay, thank you, Alex. We move to item 4, public comment. Katie, do we have any public comments that have been submitted via email?
We did not receive any public comments that were received.
Thank you.
Madam President, we do have a raised hand from Gloria from South El Monte.
Gloria?
You guys couldn't hear me originally with the mute, so I just want to confirm that you did have me as attendance. I heard Jerry say I was here.
I checked you in, Gloria.
Yes.
Okay, thank you, sir.
Okay, we move to item 5, changes to the agenda order. Do we have any agenda items that need to be addressed? Okay, so there's no changes to the meeting agenda. I'd like to
Cynthia, I apologize. The one change is just a modification to item 28 and it's on the screen. Did you want me to explain it now?
Sure, go ahead. Thank you.
Sure, I apologize. So it's just a minor change to item 28, which is the approval of support letters for federal funding for the San Gabriel Valley. So we underlined what the changes are. For letter A, which is the letter to the House delegation supporting the funding for COVID pandemic relief, that we would also send letters to our 2 US senators. There's no change to the recommended action on the second letter, which is the letter to the supervisor supporting an apportionment of the San Valley City's $350 million from the federal COVID funding. But then we also added a recommendation for a letter to the state delegation and Governor Newsom to support the proposed May revised budget allocating $450 million in CARES Act funding to cities that did not receive a direct allocation. Paul is going to cover all of this under item 15, but I just wanted to clarify that's the proposed change to the action on item 28, which is on consent.
Okay, are there any questions about that? We'll get to that soon in item 15.
From Monrovia, Becky.
Becky?
Changes, but I'm confused. Are we supposed to have video or not? I took my video down, so you can't see me anymore, but I still continue to see many of the other members.
So we're in the process of trying to shut people's video off, but unfortunately we can't control if people turn it back on. So we're going to try our best to keep them turned off. So if everyone could just keep their videos off, that'd be great.
Okay.
Alex, Alex, are you there?
Yes, Dennis.
I don't have those icons about raising your hands or voting. Should they be on the screen all the time?
I believe if you're on your computer, you will have to move your mouse. And then there should be a black bar that pops up towards the bottom of your screen.
There is, and what do I hit?
If you would like to raise your hand, you can go to participants and click, and there should be a more icon, if I'm not mistaken. And Katie can maybe you can walk Dennis through the instructions if you don't mind.
Yeah, so it depends on what device you're on.
Hope it looks like Katie is muted. But Dennis, you should.
Okay, I see it now.
Oh, okay.
Great, thank you.
Thank you very much, Dennis. Madam President, we have 2 more raised hands. One from LA County District 1 and the second one from Claremont.
I'm sorry, that was a mistake, Alex.
Oh, okay. All right. We have another raised hand from, the city of Claremont.
Thank you. I would suggest that the president allowed to be her video to be shown. I mean, if you're going to reduce everybody or eliminate everybody else, it's fine. But I would suggest that the president be allowed.
Okay. Yeah.
I think they turned me off.
We can start your video again.
Okay.
All right, and we do not have any more raised hands.
Okay, thank you. We move to the liaison reports, and all of those have been submitted in form of written reports, and they are in the agenda packets. Can you see me now? Because I can't see myself.
No, we can't see you. We cannot.
Okay, well, maybe they can work on that while we continue. We move to here, let's try something else.
You see you're down now.
Now we can see you.
Okay, so I'd like to, under the president's report, I did ask the staff to send out an email requesting that anyone who had some best practices, go ahead and submit them. So we're gonna get to those in a bit. But what I did want to ask is if I could ask Gloria with South El Monte to share a little bit about the opening of City Hall. I know that we've been discussing it with the city of Temple City, and we're nowhere near, I think, opening it. So I thought it might be good to hear from the city of El Monte about what specific things you needed to do that. I think it would be very helpful for all of us who have not opened our city halls yet. You know, what challenges did you have? What liabilities with possibly the employees coming, you know, back to work, and if one of them got sick. So Gloria, would you be willing to share that with us?
Yes, ma'am. Keep in mind, it's also South El Monte, not El Monte.
Sorry, that's what I meant.
That's okay. So it's actually been a very easy transition. Our staff ordered these really cool stickers that say, please help keep safety 6 feet apart with our logo on it. So the moment we walk in through the glass doors of City Hall, they're all the way down the walkways, every pathway. We required everybody wear masks as the employees come in. They check in with a few questions. Have you had a fever, cough, sick, anything like that of that sort? They have to check in and answer those questions and sign their name to it. We mostly opened it only to staff. With the public, what we're doing is allowing them one at a time by appointment only. And we have all the chairs out in the lobby that are 6 feet apart. And they have to, as once they call in as an appointment, and at their appointment time, we call them in and one by one. So that, and then we have the shields everywhere. So there is no full contact. Anybody at the counter will have to wear gloves and also wear the shields as well and continue to keep their masks on. So there's a lot of safety going on. Everything's been great. Our secretary that's in front, the receptionist, she comes in and as soon as one person leaves, she's disinfecting again. And it's just been a continual thing, but it's been real good. I mean, the employees seem to be fine with it, you know, safe measures, doing well.
Okay. And Gloria, did you have to, before opening, did you have to have someone come out from the county health department to give you the okay to do so?
We didn't have to, but the county did come in and check everything to make sure that everything was up to par. And thank God we passed. And yeah, so they did, but you also have to have some county postings before you open. So for the public, it states, I think it's like seven or 8 pages. And it just basically states like, if you have a cough or a fever or anything like that, please do not come in. Make sure the persons are notified if you've been exposed. So it does have some things on there that you have to have posted before you open up. And that's any public thing, not just the city hall, but any restaurants, any stores, anything like that.
Hey, did you say you were taking temperatures also?
We're not taking temperatures. I did ask them, like, we should get the temperature thing to order it. So actually they're going to be ordering it, but it does just ask a questionnaire. Do you have a fever? Have you had a fever? Anything in the last few days? So the questionnaire pretty much answers that.
Okay. And I'm wondering, are there any other directors that have had a city open up?
Oh, one more thing, Cynthia, I'll add. We
Yes.
actually pulled out some desks and moved desks around in chairs so that our employees are 6 feet apart. And we took out some people out of the cubicles so that they're not close by also.
And you're not a staggered workday, are you?
Well,
I know
yes.
you're shortened out.
Yes, we're shortened. So normally our hours are 7 to 5:30. They're coming in about 10 o'clock and leaving about 2:30.
And you're closed on Fridays, correct?
We're closed on Fridays, yes.
Have you always been closed on Fridays, or is that
Always been
new?
closed on Fridays.
Always been closed on Fridays.
Mhm.
So if there was, you've been open now, what, just a few days or a week?
Yeah, since Monday.
Since Monday.
Yeah,
Okay,
since
well, hopefully, if the rest of us aren't there by our next meeting, you can share some of the challenges that that might come up and be able to share some things that we might be very useful to all of us. I know as soon as South El Monte opened up, then I got a few emails from residents like, what's going on? Why isn't Temple City opened up yet? And I'm thinking, how many cities opened up? So I think, that's one of the challenges. I had reached out to my city manager and asked him if he could, please talk to the other city managers in the area to kind of see what everybody is doing, if maybe there was some way we could all get a consensus for those of us who haven't opened up by maybe a date that we could at least maybe throw out there, just say this is a tentative date. I just think it's so hard, especially when I saw that you guys opened up. I'm like, well, what's going on with my city? Where are we? So I appreciate you taking the time to share with us, and we can actually learn from you as we move forward. So thank you, Gloria.
Madam President, we do have 4 raised hands.
Yeah.
This one coming from San Marino.
Okay, San Marino.
Hi, this is Susan from San Marino. And
hi, Susan.
Are not at a point of being ready to open. I do want to share an experience that we had recently. Per state statute, of course, for our Planning Commission and Design Review Committee actions, there's deadlines, date by which things must occur. And so as a result, we've had folks come in for our planning department on the first floor. And 2 days ago, we did have an employee of that department test positive. So all the employees in that department went and got tested. We don't have the results yet, but they are on quarantine. So I suspect with situations like these occurring, some of us will be quite delayed in our opening.
Thank you for sharing that.
Sure.
All right, we have another raised hand from Adele from City of Alhambra.
Adele?
Yes, hi, how are you?
Good, thank you.
Good. So Alhambra also opened up part-time on Monday. We're from 7 to 12. Not all departments, but most of the departments are taking appointments. We are actually, I think probably the biggest news is that we're going to have our budget meeting in our library with just 10 people in the room, including all 5 council members. So that's next week. We really do need to be, we felt face-to-face because we lose so much from just doing teleconferencing, and budgets, as you know, are so important. So we'll be doing that next week. We also have a testing going on right outside City Hall until the end of May. So we're both challenged, but at the same time, we are trying to get as much work done as possible in light of the crisis. Thank you.
Thank you.
All right, we have another raised hand from Tony from West Covina.
Tony?
Okay, I'll mute myself. Okay, West Covina. Okay, we have a soft opening starting Monday, and we open Monday to Thursday because we are a big city, about more than 110,000 population, and we decide to do this discussion with the city manager. So basically, we are opening, but again, soft opening and to see how it goes. And exactly something like South El Monte, Gloria say, we're doing the mask, glove, and make sure everybody is safe. But we are open for business.
Great, thank you, Tony.
All right, we have 3 raised hands, and we have one from April from Arcadia.
April?
Hi, thanks. Just want to let you know, yes, Arcadia did open on Monday as well. Very similar protocols to what South El Monte had described. So it's by appointment only in the city of Arcadia. And it's, again, staff was spaced out, so there's not staff next to each other. We put up the plexiglass at different public counters, so that our staff is separated from the public. So there's really not direct contact between staff and public at any of our public counters.
So April, did all your employees come back? Your Parks and Rec people are not back, correct?
No, we've kept everybody back in the sense that we didn't furlough anybody, we didn't let anybody go. We used our Parks and Rec staff at Foothill Unity Center. So we sent some of those that didn't have anything to do at the community center. We put them on the food line, distributing food at Foothill Unity Center. So we've kept everybody pretty much. There's a few people that if they weren't comfortable coming into work, they didn't come to work. So, you know, that number changes every week depending. And then we've had a few people sick, but most people have stayed working as much as possible. I think it's our part-time employees. We had a lot of part-time with our Parks and Rec. Those people don't have as many hours.
Okay, thank you.
All right. We have another raised hand from John from the city of Duarte.
John?
Yes, I just want to say we're a lot like some of the other cities. We have always been open by appointment only. There have been some employees there, but it has not been full staff at City Hall. Some have been working from home. And same with part-time staff. Actually, our part-time staff are helping at Foothill Unity as well, our Parks and Rec people.
But John, you're not open at City Hall yet?
We are just by appointment only. It has always
appointment.
been that way since this hit. We never completely closed. We said you can make an appointment.
Okay, thank you.
All right, two more raised hands. One from Dennis from the city of San Dimas.
Yes, San Dimas is not open, but I would like it to be. Do you have to get permission from the health department to open?
No.
No, you don't? Okay, thank you.
Okay.
All right, one last raised hand from Patty from the city of Covina.
Patty?
Yeah, thank you guys. I just wanted to give you guys the update. So we had a extensive presentation last night from our, I guess you could call it our COVID recovery team. So we anticipate to open similar under the same guidelines of South El Monte on June 15th for City Hall, with established protocols for each department in terms of taking appointments for public meeting or for public counter assistance. And then our library is also set to open on June 15th, also with established guidelines on how to allow public in. And then we anticipate that our Parks and Rec departments will start beginning some form of summer programming by June 8th. And again, like all extensively set out plans and procedures. And I believe we're also looking at reopening our farmers market under new guidelines as well.
Okay. Can I just ask how many cities that are on the call are going to be open or are currently open by June 15th? Could you raise your hand just so we can kind of have an idea?
All right, we've got Arcadia, Walnut, San Gabriel, South El Monte, Covina, West Covina, and Duarte. Oh, and Industry and Azusa and Sierra Madre.
Okay. Okay, I think we need to have some work to do in Temple City. Thank you so much. I think the discussion is helpful. I know every city, you know, has its own needs, and what we set up is going to be different, a little bit different, but I think it's important just to know what our our neighbors are doing, and we can surely learn from one another. So thank you so much for that discussion. We're going to move on now to our executive director's report. Marissa?
Hi, everybody. It's nice to see everyone. I miss everybody so much. It gets kind of lonely here, although I do have an 11-year-old. I get to teach homeschool and work all day, so it's really fun. I have a couple of things to say before we get to our 2 items. I want to just say it's been, a lot going on the past 2 months, but I want to thank the COG staff so much. Everyone has been amazing. We do a staff meeting every morning for 30 minutes to check in on every person because everybody's working remotely. And it's been great. I actually think the office has never been closer because we have 2 locations and now everybody sees everybody every single day. So it's been wonderful, and it's a great opportunity to, we've tried to be showing a lot of gratitude towards each other. And in the spirit of that, I'd like to thank 2 people. I'd like to thank Katie, because I think you all don't understand all of the work that goes into putting on this meeting. She's like a little executive producer of a TV show, basically. There was like a million different roles. There's a bunch of people doing stuff to make this work as well as it does. So I really want to thank her for all of her work that she puts into making this work run so smoothly. And then second of all, we have another COG staff member that I just wanted to introduce real quickly. He's not a new staff member, but he's in a new role right now. So we have Ray. I don't know if his video is going to show up or not, but Ray is currently our acting finance director. He has been with the COG for a long time. He's been in our audits department, and he most recently was our audits manager, and now he is our acting finance director. He came in at a very busy time when we're doing our annual budget and all of the task orders. And he has really, and we are still doing our annual financial audit actually, and he has just done so much work in the past 2 weeks while he's been in that role. So I wanted to give him a quick chance to introduce himself. I don't know if we can I saw him sign in, but I don't know if we can get his video to show. Would that be possible, Katie?
Let's try it.
Hi, can everybody see me? Hello, like Marissa said, I'm Ray. I've been with the agency for 12 and a half years now, starting as a contracts auditor and moved on to after a few years as a senior auditor and then to an audit manager. And I'm happy and excited to take the lead role as acting director of finance. And thank you so much for the opportunity.
And so he's on the call today because we do have our budget if there's any questions, but he has been amazing and we really appreciate him helping with everything. So I just wanted to introduce him to everybody. And with that, I'm going to turn it over. We have Paul Hubler on the call, and he is going to talk on item 15. This has been a ever evolving subject in terms of what is happening with state and federal funding. We know that the cities are really challenged fiscally right now. The impact of COVID-19 has been extensive. It's been really difficult for the city. So there's a lot happening. So we wanted to have just a presentation on the latest information that's available. And then he's going to speak to some action items that are included in consent that I briefly mentioned at the beginning of the meeting. So with that, I'll turn it over to Paul.
Thank you, Marissa. And thank you, Madam Chair, members of the governing board. Staff has been coordinating with our state and federal legislators since the COVID pandemic hit, and with coalitions such as the League of California Cities and the U.S. Conference of Mayors. And our objective has been to seek federal and state funding to assist your cities as they respond to the COVID pandemic. We've been updating your city managers and coordinating with them as well by participating on their weekly conference calls so that they know what's going on in Sacramento and Washington, D.C., and that our representatives there get our message as well as to what our needs are. I would just say that according to the League of California Cities, California cities are facing a nearly $7 billion revenue shortfall over the next 2 years. This is due to the stay-at-home orders and the relative, the shutdown of a lot of economic activity, which in turn has affected sales tax revenues, other revenues which your cities depend on. And the impact of this is that 9 out of 10 cities, so 90% of cities surveyed by the league report that they'll have to cut staff or decrease city services to residents. And nearly 3 in 4 cities report that they may have to do both. So with that in mind, the $2 trillion CARES Act that was signed by the president in late March included a provision that's really key to states and cities. And that was the $150 billion for a coronavirus relief funds. These funds were distributed to states based on population. In California's share, since we have about 11% of the population, our share was about $15.3 billion. This federal aid obviously was very welcome and very much needed, but several problems were apparent. One was that cities and counties below 500,000 population were shut out from receiving direct funding. This means that in California, only six out of 482 cities were eligible to receive funds, and only 16 of 58 counties received funds. The other problem with the federal aid in the CARES Act was that it could only be used for additional expenses incurred related to the pandemic. Was not an ineligible expense was lost revenues. And those lost revenues are what are going to force potential layoffs and service cuts that I addressed earlier that came about from the League of California Cities survey. So subsequent congressional efforts have focused on trying to remedy these omissions. And the good news is that the $3 trillion HEROES Act, which passed the House last week with the support of all of the members of our San Gabriel Valley House delegation, that HEROES Act will provide, among other things, $375 billion. So twice the initial CARES Act funding, so $375 billion for counties and cities. Those funds will be distributed via modified CDBG formula, with most funds distributed this year and the remainder next year. And you'll see in the staff report for the consent calendar item that I've listed a chart that shows how much would go to each city in the San Gabriel Valley, and I'll just call out a few. At the high, it's $150 million over 2 years to Pomona, $70 million to Baldwin Park, $60 million to West Covina, about $47 million to Monterey Park, $10.5 million to Duarte. These funds can be used to replace lost revenues. That was a key provision that was strongly advocated by the National League of Cities and the U.S. Conference of Mayors and the states, and are available until expended over the next several years. That's, again, is going to be crucial, so that way we can, as cities, undertake efforts to really help with economic recovery and to stave off potential layoffs. And it also, the HEROES Act also remedied the CARES Act by allowing these funds, the CARES Act funds, to also be used to make up for lost revenues. Now, it's been reported in the media that the prospects for the bill in the Senate are dim due to Senate leadership opposition to bailing out, not that I agree with this, but so-called blue states and blue cities. We think it's important, though, as COG staff, to let your congressional representatives know how important this funding is, that it's going to be needed to forestall layoffs and service cuts, and to keep your cities enlisted in the frontline efforts to respond to the pandemic and the economic fallout from it. So that's the federal side of things. The second is that we're also seeking, as I mentioned earlier, LA County did get a share of funding from the CARES Act, just over $1 billion. And nothing in the CARES Act precludes a county from sharing a portion of that funding with the cities that make up their population. And this was a population-based formula allocation that went to LA County. And while the county is certainly on the front lines through its health department in responding to the pandemic, the San Gabriel Valley cities are partners in that effort, and we believe it would be equitable to share the funding, and that's the subject of the letter that is addressed to the LA County supervisors. We're also asking for a share of the state's funding from the CARES Act. Several legislators urged exactly that in a joint letter in early May, and the governor included in his May revised budget, which was released last week, $450 million for cities that did not receive a direct allocation under the CARES Act, which is almost all California cities. Cities are advised that spending or the expenses have to be consistent with federal requirements. And the governor has further advised cities to prioritize these dollars to supplement efforts for the homeless undertaken, in our case, by LAHSA and the county. Staff had initially held off drafting a letter on this topic because we wanted to wait and see what the formula distribution was to cities. And we're closely watching Department of Finance, which is supposed to release estimates very shortly on how much each city would get. But we've decided it would be prudent just to support the overall concept. And so we're recommending a third letter as well. We'll continue to monitor the progress of the May revised budget through trailer bill and budget committee hearings and follow this along. Again, to stress, it's so important. We understand from your city managers how important this additional funding is. You all know it as well. The COVID, there's not only the expense of responding to the COVID pandemic, but there's going to be a significant revenue cliff that the cities are facing due to the pandemic. And in order to hold off on layoffs, on service cuts, we strongly believe we need this additional federal funding. We'll continue our efforts in that regard. With that, I'd be happy to take questions, if any.
Okay, are there any questions? Thank you, Paul.
Thank you.
We have one from John from the city of Duarte.
John?
Yes, thank you, Paul. Appreciate the report. I appreciate the efforts of those that brought this to us. The question I have, so within Los Angeles County, the city of Los Angeles received funds, the county received funds. Did the formula basically say, gee, there's 10 million people in Los Angeles County. City of LA is above 500,000 people, so they will get, in essence, to say 40% of the population, they got like 40% of the funds. Did the county get all the rest of it on a per capita basis? And the reason I ask that is if that's the case, another approach would be that all the county money should be spent just on the other 87 cities and the unincorporated. So I'm just trying to figure this out.
Yeah, so the formula basically allowed only cities above 500,000 to be accounted for individual, separately from the county. The remainder of the population, my understanding for LA, so LA County's population, as I understand it, omitted LA, the city of LA, because they had their own right to seek the funds. And so the county's population was based on everything but the city of LA. And that's how they got to the $1 billion.
So then basically continuing on that, another thought is that the county funds should go only to the 87 cities and the county unincorporated. And again, unless I'm missing something on the purpose of the funds, that would seem to be another approach to this that hopefully the county would consider.
Yeah, I mean, yeah, exactly. It's going to be up to but the fact that the city of Los Angeles is entitled to its own share of funds, it has its own public health department, as do, I think, 2 other cities.
Actually, the city of LA does not.
Long Beach, oh, it doesn't.
Long Beach and Pasadena.
Only Long Beach and Pasadena do. So, but they are entitled to their own set of funds. So I think you could make a strong argument that, frankly, the county fund should be dedicated to the remaining cities in LA County, other than the city of Los Angeles.
I'm just raising that as an issue. I know we have county reps on the COG governing board, but it would seem that if that was the allocation, unless I'm missing something, and I know the county has 10% of the population in the unincorporated, so certainly they could make a case that funds be retained for those populations, but I just wanted to throw that out.
Yeah, thank you.
All right, we have another question from Becky from the city of Monrovia.
Becky? Becky? Becky, are you there? Is she muted possibly?
There it goes. Okay, I was just trying to follow what Paul was, the numbers that he was reading. And I went back and I'm looking at the letter. It didn't seem to jive with what I'm looking at on the screen on our agenda. I went to the letter and it didn't seem to be the same numbers. Do we have an updated? The reason something I caught something about 10.5 million. Was that correct?
So the amount for the San Gabriel Valley, is that what you're?
Well, no,
addressing?
you were listing some of the cities.
Yeah.
And so I was looking at local coronavirus relief funds, and you had said Duarte 10.5, but I'm looking at this little chart and it says Duarte 7 million.
Oh, I'm sorry. Yeah, I added the two together, the 2 fiscal years. So 7 million the current fiscal year, and then 3.5 the following year.
Okay.
Basically, it's a certain amount the first fiscal year, and then half of that.
Okay,
second
I
fiscal
get
year.
you. I
Yeah.
get you. I'm trying to follow that, and I get you. Thanks.
Sure.
Okay, do we have any other raised hands?
Yes, Madam President, we have 3 more. The next one is from Nancy from the city of Diamond Bar.
Nancy?
Thank you. Hey, Paul, it's Nancy.
Hi, Nancy.
Hi. Listen, I'm under the impression that there's quite a bit in this HEROES bill that has nothing to do with helping the cities or even COVID-19. I heard that there's a lot in there about promoting cannabis to the banking system, and also that there was $10 million for an art museum. In other words, those are 2 examples, and there's quite a bit of pork in there. Do you know anything about that?
Well, I know the critics of the bill have pointed out to some of the provisions that relate to the cannabis industry and other industries and aspects of the bill and the aid. I thought it was important for us to, in particular, call out, though, in this bill, keep in mind it's going over to the Senate. It may not even be taken up by the Senate. Senator McConnell has indicated, his own poor opinion of the bill and some of these other provisions in it. But I thought it was important for us to really stand in support of the provisions that would benefit our cities and that we know are very important. The cannabis provisions, I don't know why they were put in there, if in fact they are in there. I suspect it may have to do with, I don't know, some banking provisions or something along those lines. But what is important, I think, in that bill, and it's something that we've been urging, and the COG has already sent a letter encouraging additional funding for state, for local cities that were shut out of the first CARES Act. So that's what we've chosen to focus on in our letter to our members of Congress, is on the local and state funding.
Yeah, I hear what you're saying, but it does seem like there's some things in there that, really shouldn't be in there. I just don't know if I can get behind supporting that. I mean, between the 10 million for the art museum and, extra money for cannabis industry. Anyway, just my comments. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you, Nancy.
We have another comment from Jack from the city of Montebello.
Jack?
Yes, thank you very much. I understand that the county qualified for the CARES Act funding by using the populations of our incorporated cities to meet the criteria. And I'd like for the COG to verify that information, because I'm very much in support of receiving our pro rata share of that money.
Thank you, Jeff.
Yeah, Jack, that was That was how it was, purely population based for the county to qualify for the funds, and we're part of the part of Los Angeles County. We're 2 million people in the San Gabriel Valley, so that was a substantial part. It's about, I think it's about a third of the total amount that's going to the county was attributable to the population in the San Gabriel Valley.
Yeah.
So that's why if the letter to the county supervisors makes exactly that argument and states that we believe it's equitable for the county to share a portion of the $1 billion with the cities that make up, a significant portion of the county population. It obviously was not just the unincorporated communities that made up LA County's population, but it was all of the cities that are encompassed within the county of Los Angeles, with the exception, you have to remove the city of LA because they were the only city that directly qualified for funding.
Yeah, well, I just so Montebello did become the signatory of the letter that went out to the Board of Supervisors requesting some of those funds. This was spearheaded by some of the South Bay cities. I'm not sure if anybody here in the meeting joined that effort with that letter. So definitely the county would have not qualified without using the population of our incorporated communities.
Sure.
That's it.
We have another one, Alex?
Yes, Madam President. It is Tony from West Covina.
Hello, Tony.
Okay, yes, Mayor of West Covina. Okay, my question is this, okay, and I think all the city right now really lack of funding to pay for their bill. West Covina, we have a police and fire. And how soon, if that everything can be passed, how soon you can have this money go to all the city? Because right now the worry I have is too little, too late. Okay, right now we have to pay the bill, and the county just sent us a letter. They don't even want to pay us $6.5 million over the bond money. So meaning, okay, a lot of city might have a major issue to pay. Like you say, we don't want to cut service, we don't want to cut public safety, but right now we have the major cash flow issue, especially for the big city. Okay, with the police and fire. So we will support anything that we can get some money so we can pay bill. So how soon you think you can get this thing passed, or when we can get the money from anybody, especially county?
Yeah, those funds should be available immediately. My understanding is from the CARES Act funds that are available to the cities and states and counties that qualified. So in other words, above 500,000 population, that those funds were made available as close as immediate comes with the federal government. I'm sure there was some paperwork to file, but they made them available immediately within the current fiscal year. So with regard to the HEROES Act funding, the proposal is to make the initial funding available this year, and then half of that initial funding available next year. So it would be over 2 years, but you would be able to expend against that over multiple years because the impacts of this COVID-19 may drag on for quite some time.
But when you say 500,000 population, okay, in San Gabriel Valley, we don't have any city more than 500,000 to get all this funding from federal. My city is about 110. So we can see the money, but we cannot touch.
Right, we were shut out. That's right. As you point out, we were shut out from the first bill that passed in late March, the CARES Act, because that bill set a population limit. You had to be above 500,000. So what we're arguing a couple of avenues to try to get funding for cities like yours and the rest in the San Gabriel Valley. And one is to ask the county to share a portion of it got about $1 billion to share a portion of that with the cities that make up the population of the county to support this House bill that would provide funding for cities less than 500,000. And you've got the list of all of the San Gabriel Valley cities and the amounts they would receive over the next 2 years. And then also to support the state, the governor is proposing to share a portion of the state's funds, so 450 million, with all cities that didn't receive funding from the CARES Act. And that's going through the budget process. They have to adopt a budget by July. So we should, those funds will be available this year.
Again, I think the problem is the full service city. Okay, the full service city with the police and fire, and that is 80% of general fund. So the population, no matter what kind of population, I think a lot of cities, even they are not too big, but they still have the police and fire too. So I think there's an issue. Okay, if you have a county service, then you don't have to worry too much. But if you have full service, right now currently we don't have a sales tax, we don't have property tax. How we pay the bill? So my point is, how can we get the funding from state or from county that have public safety eat up about 80% of our general fund, that we need some of the funding to pay so we can keep our residents safe?
Yeah, I mean, that's exactly the purpose of these 3 letters we're sending, and staff is continuing to advocate for this at all levels, at the county level, the state level, the federal level. And we're keeping your city managers through their they do a weekly conference call. We're keeping them updated on the progress of this. I understand the significance of this, and you're right, for full service cities, there's the additional cost of police and fire, which is significant. And very often they're on the front lines of responding to the pandemic. So these are services I don't think we don't want to see cut. And I don't think our federal, county, and state partners would want to see it cut either. There is movement on this, and we'll see what continues to play out. But I understand, you recognize this as a serious issue, and I think for the COG, I think we do as well, and I'm sure your fellow delegates on the COG governing board recognize it for their individual cities as well.
Okay,
we'll keep pushing.
Yeah, I just want to share with you, I'm end of my speech. Basically, I think on the newspaper, Tuesday, West Covina already declared of a fiscal emergency. So basically, we right now, we have to find some money to pay our public safety. So I hope county or state understand all these full service city, we are all in danger because no sales tax, no property tax, no money. So in that way, how can we pay our service? So I think this is something the state or county have to understand. Okay, we are all in the same boat. Okay, they have to find some funding for us. Okay, to protect our residents. Okay, thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you, Tony. Thank you, Paul.
We do have one final comment from Diana from South Pasadena.
Thank
Hello,
you.
Diana.
Hi. Just briefly, Marissa, this strikes me as the kind of issue that would really benefit from regional coordination among all the EDs of the COGs in the county. Has there been any coordination? It would be really nice for us all to organize and show up at a Board of Supervisors meeting and to provide support. I think that could be very effective.
Yes, that's excellent. Actually, so I have been talking, we were the first ones to bring up to the executive director's call that was 2 weeks ago, the HEROES and the CARE Act. So I've been sharing that information with them. And then if there is action today on the supervisors one, I'll bring it up to them. I can send out an email and coordinate. We have a call next Wednesday, I think.
I think that would be very helpful. Strengthen numbers.
Definitely.
Thank you. Thanks, Diana. Okay, is that it, Alex?
Yes, Madam President.
Okay, great. We are going to move to item 16, city best practice sharing on COVID-19 response. And we have April from the city of Arcadia. April, do you just want to share briefly some of the things that you've been doing in your city? Is April there? She might be muted, but we can come back. How about LA County for Lauren?
you know what?
Oh,
Is somebody,
Can you hear me now?
yes, is
Yeah.
this April?
Yeah,
Okay.
it's, when the host mutes you, you can't unmute yourself, I guess.
Okay.
The host allows it. So,
So April, do you hear?
can you hear me?
Yes.
Okay. So, yeah, so you wanted to hear about what we're doing with our fire department?
Yes, just anything that you're doing that would be beneficial for all of us to know about.
So, so we're one of the cities with our own fire and police department, and what we started doing back in February, our fire department was going into our assisted living and skilled nursing facilities throughout the city, checking in on them, making sure they had supplies that they needed, cleaning supplies, masks, all those things, and asking them, what's your safety protocols to prevent the spread? And I think those weekly checkups with all of those facilities really helped keep them kind of in line. The fire department created, a spreadsheet of who were the contacts at each of our facilities and what they were doing, what practices they implemented at their different facilities, and then sharing those practices with the other facilities so that they could formulate their best practices. Also, our fire department, starting in February, was going out on all calls with protective equipment on. They would have one member, one firefighter go up to make the initial contact and assess the patient to determine whether or not there was any signs or symptoms of COVID-19. And that one firefighter would be wearing goggles, mask, gown, gloves. They would take the temperature of the patient and then determine if they were cleared, then the rest of the team would come in to treat if possible. They would always try to bring the patient outdoors, never treat indoors. And then they would make sure that if there were any signs of symptoms of COVID-19, that then all team members would get fully dressed with goggle, mask, gloves, and gown. And then also when our fire department would come back from a call, they would take off their outer shell of their uniforms and leave them in, I guess, the garage area or whatever for cleaning, so that they weren't bringing that into their living quarters, into where the rest of the fire staff or fire station staff was, so that you wouldn't have that cross-contamination in the living quarters. This has really helped keep down any kind of contamination or spread. Our fire department, although has been exposed to COVID-19 on calls, they've had, people test positive. None of our fire department staff has tested positive. So yeah, so they've been really good, very diligent. And we went to a 4 days on, 8 days off schedule for our fire department for each station. And when they come on for their shift, their 4-day shift, they have a temperature check. They, do screening for, any kind of symptoms of COVID-19, any potential exposure, and try to prevent anybody from coming in that might have been exposed. And then what else? And now we have the testing capacity at Methodist Hospital that we're able to test all of our fire department, all of our police department. I think they're just testing all the fire department now for COVID-19 when they enter in on a shift. Not the police, because the police are still on daily 12-hour shifts. So,
how many nursing facilities do you have in Arcadia?
I don't know. I don't know the number. It's quite a few. Well, we have nursing and then it's assisted living. So we have pretty large retirement.
Assisted living.
Yeah, retirement homes, like it's an apartment building, a couple of apartment buildings. We have, a Vista Cove, Arcadia Retirement Gardens. There's quite a few. And then we have quite a few skilled nursing facilities because of the hospital, the proximity to the hospital.
Right. Well, I think they're doing something right. When I was looking at all the numbers of all the cities, Arcadia was pretty low as far as their SNFs and assisted living. Temple has 1, 2, but in one of them had 0 deaths where the other one had 16 and 50 staff members. So that one has been a real challenge. Anything else, April?
No, that's it.
Thank you so much.
Sure.
Good to know. Tony? He might be muted, I think. How about LA County District 4, Lauren?
Oh, Tony is unmuted now, I believe.
Okay, Tony,
Yes.
go ahead.
Okay, what do you want me to talk about?
Well, why don't you share with us something that you think has been very helpful and positive in your city that you've done to respond to COVID-19?
Okay, got it. Okay, I think I sent a letter regarding how West Covina react on this pandemic. I think the first thing we did is beginning of March when we find out that our hospital might have a shortage of PPE. So I got a bunch of donation for our private sector. So we equipped to our Queensville Valley and Eminent Health, okay, make sure they have enough of PPE to protect themselves and protect the patient. And after that, okay, we try to get, okay, so-called safer at home, make sure we can, okay, co-enforcement to make sure we can separate the people don't gathering. Okay, and another thing we try to do is, I think, set up the first test center, okay, with partnership with Ultimate. Okay, we have test centers, I think about 3 weeks or 4 weeks ago, and we test about 130 people a day. So we want to make sure all the person can be tested, okay, if they are qualified, if they have a syndrome. So all those things. And another thing we try to do is, since I got the donation from the, okay, a lot of private sector and charity group, and we provide a free mask and glove, even till today, we still provide for our residents. We try to protect the population. So for that, I think West Covina, okay, on the confirmed cases, is not desirable, but it's still, okay, below 0.2% of population. Right now, we're about 230, okay, confirmed cases. So hopefully we can, okay, have less, okay, or okay, confirmed, okay, for our resident. But I think more important thing is this: I checked with the hospital regarding do we have any people in the ICU or do we have any people in the ventilator? And the answer is, my understanding about a week ago, is none. So I think this is a good news, okay, and because we don't want to have any of this kind of situation to our residents. But other than that, we hope, okay, next thing we want to do is how soon we can gradually open up the city, okay, have people still with their mask and the social distancing. And the more important thing, have people starting hopefully in June 15 or July, as I remember, that state or county, they want to open it up. We want to follow through the county health department guideline, but we need to gradually open it up for people to get back to their life. But again, and I think we are doing okay, and we're doing everything to make sure our city intact and everybody and feel confidence for their future. And that's what our city is doing. Thank you.
Thank you, Tony. And how about Lauren?
Hi. So a couple of things that I'd like to share that the supervisor did to support the community during this time was purchasing face coverings from small local vendors. And we then distributed these face coverings to essential workers, homeless shelters, low-income housing residents. And it was just her way of supporting the community directly. So we passed out 600 or more masks to those places that I mentioned. And I think the support was appreciated, and we were going to continue to look for opportunities to distribute some more. And the other thing that the supervisor's doing is just staying in touch with residents on an ongoing basis. Every Friday, she does a Facebook Live at 11 a.m. You're all welcome if you're interested, and she'll provide the latest updates on COVID-19 responses in LA County and answer questions live. So we try and share that with our residents just as a way to stay in touch and communicate on a regular basis.
Thank you, Lauren. And do we have Tim Sandoval on? Alex,
This is Tim.
Hi, Tim. Tim, I was just wondering if you would share about your donation foundation that's helping your city.
Yes. Can you guys hear me okay?
Yes.
So I'll be incredibly brief. In late March, I had convened a group of community leaders, both from big institutions and nonprofits, for-profits, and created what amounted to a COVID-19 action committee of about 50 plus community leaders. And out of that process, we created committees designed specifically to address issues such as basic needs, which is food and particularly rent relief. We have a fundraising wing as well that created what is known as the Pomona Compassion Fund, which is dollars that we're raising from individuals, from businesses, from philanthropic organizations and foundations to help complement the dollars that we receive from the CARES Act, which our city has designated a large portion to rent relief, as well as through our CDBG dollars, small business relief. It's it really speaks to the soul and the culture of COG, which is for all of us to work together to try to address regional issues. And so for me, it was about drawing upon all of our community leaders who have connections with some of the hardest hit areas of our city to make sure that they have the information they need to be able to make a transition. And I think what this really reveals is that, those communities and particularly community members who are isolated at this time are really going to be the people that are going to have the hardest time transitioning out of this. And so we're trying to mitigate some of those issues having formed this. If any of you are interested in learning more about doing something like that, I know all of you have, whether it's nonprofits or community organizations that may not even be necessarily involved in addressing issues around poverty. It could be your mental health facility in the community. It could be your educational institutions, it could be a college. I'd be happy to share any of that with you if that's something you're interested in doing, because we're not just looking at this in terms of current COVID-19, but we're looking at post-COVID-19. And just lastly, we have 5 committees. I've mentioned a couple of them. One of them is a business and economic development needs committee, specifically focusing on surveying what the businesses are currently experiencing and then beginning to figure out how do we help them, but how do we also, through our own institutions, create job opportunities as we transition out of this. So those are the types of things that we're thinking about. And I'm happy to share any of that, how we set it up, if you think it's valuable to you and your community.
Thank you so much, Tim. Okay, is there anyone else? If not, we'll move on.
Madam President, we do have a raised hand from Florencio from Supervisor Hilda Solis's office.
Okay. Hello, Florencio.
Hello, Madam President. I do apologize. I didn't hear the portion where you called out the districts to chime in, so I appreciate the opportunity. A couple of things I wanted to share that have been beneficial to the county as well as region-wide during COVID-19. One, I wanted to say actually what will be beneficial for all of us in the future is to ensure that we continue to press our residents to respond to the census. Currently, California has a 61% response rate, while Los Angeles County as a whole has a 56.2% response rate. So we are about 5 points behind California. And as we all know, that census equals funding for our communities, and funding is the most critical thing that we need at this time. Second thing I wanted to share is that the supervisor has allocated and dispersed over $100,000 in discretionary funding to nonprofits throughout the first district to provide assistance to them, as well as partnered with local community organizations to organize food distributions to assist residents who have been impacted by COVID-19. And it's been very helpful not only to the community, but also to bring everyone together as a community to assist those that are most vulnerable. And speaking of our most vulnerable, one thing that's been very beneficial, and I want to thank all the cities who have been helpful, is regarding Project Room Key. In LA County, we've secured over 3,400 rooms countywide. And those rooms are now being occupied by individuals who were once on the street receiving wraparound services. And of course, those hotels are generating TOT revenue for those cities that have them within their jurisdiction. So I wanted to share that with everyone today. Thank you for the opportunity.
Thank you, Florencio.
We do have 2 raised hands. The first one from John from Duarte.
John?
Yes, thank you. Just quickly, Supervisor Barger's office, Sandra and others helped with setting up calls in our city with the county health department. We have a couple skilled nursing facilities that had very high counts. They helped us in terms of assessing that the facilities were doing and engaging in safe practices based on what is known today. And they did help with making sure that testing took place in both of those facilities. The comprehensive testing took place. And this was about the time, I think, that the county did order testing of all skilled nursing facilities, but the health department was very cooperative. And our whole goal was just to make sure that we had a tragic loss of life there. We've lost 13 people, those 2 facilities, and whatever we could do to help with the workers there and the residents, it was appreciated. Thank you.
Thank you, John.
All right, we have another one from Diana from the city of South Pasadena.
Diana?
Thank you. Thank you. Florencio, I appreciate your update. I heard when I guess Supervisors Barger and Solis are alternating giving the daily updates with Dr. Ferrer. And I was really interested to hear Supervisor Solis say that she had used some discretionary funds to provide tenant assistance. I understood it was in the form of rental payments, as well as some assistance to mom and pop landlords. I am concerned in my jurisdiction, and my city, South Pasadena, is in Supervisor Barger's district, that there are in fact some mom and pop landlords that are going to be undergo financial strain if the tenants have 12 months from the termination of the declaration of the emergency, which at this point won't occur sooner than July 1. So 2 questions. Number 1 is, are Supervisor Solis's use of her discretionary funds limited to tenants and properties in her unincorporated area? And then the second question, and this really is to Sandra, is does Supervisor Barger have anything similar? And if she does, is there any consideration to extending that to incorporated cities as well as unincorporated areas?
Is Sandra here in the meeting?
I am. I'm here.
Hi,
Can you hear me?
Sandra. Do you want to?
Hi.
Yes.
So we
Hi,
do have the same program that First District has. I think all
4 districts, I think apart from the 3rd, have tenant assistance for the residents in unincorporated communities. As far as discretionary funding for nonprofit organizations, I don't know that that's been discussed internally, but I'd be happy to provide that feedback to the supervisor.
And it wouldn't be nonprofit. My concern is with the small mom and pop landlords, say the younger families that have bought a property with a second property, with a second home on their property with the intention that they would use the rent to help them pay their mortgage, or the senior mom and pop that bought investment property, a duplex, a triplex, maybe a quad, years and years ago, and that are depending upon that rental income to live. There's been no consideration by the County Board of Supervisors, I think, or any of the other cities that have adopted a 12-month period for repayment of back rent as to where the money is going to come from to make those smaller landlords whole. Not all landlords have deep pockets, and I'm really concerned that without a fix for the smaller, the homeowner that has an ADU that needs that rental income to make mortgage, and for the senior landlords, we have nothing. I would also suggest that one of the ways to provide some assistance to cities, which would be really easy, is for the supervisors to extend the tenant rental assistance as well as whatever assistance they're providing to small mom and pop landlords, to extend that to the benefit of properties in all of their, all of the totality of their district, whether or not it resides within an unincorporated area or in a city. We all need, all of our people need help, not just the ones in unincorporated areas. And my little city of 26,000, which is also a full service. We're not 100 and some thousand like West Covina, but we're taking a real hit. And I know we all are, and we need the help.
Thank you, Diane. Thank you, Sandra, also. Okay, we're going to move on to our general counsel's report. David?
Madam President, there are 2 more raised hands still.
Oh, okay. Sorry. Go ahead.
The first one is from, oh, one more actually. Tim from Laverne.
Tim?
I'll make this real short. I just wanted to kind of mirror on everybody else's, Arcadia and also Pomona. Our fire department's doing similar, and also our police as far as they're going into structures as far as the fire. Also, our city hall will be opening on June 1st, limited. We're going to do staggered. We put up plexiglass in our front lobbies and stuff and separating just like a lot of other people. But also, as Mayor Sandoval stated, we just passed a resolution on Monday with a CDBG money, $2,500 grants to our restaurants, 15 employees and under, to assist them when it gets started. And we also did something with the our downtown business district also on one of the fees they pay. We've waived that fee. So I think all of us are just trying to help everybody because our businesses are our lifeblood. And I want to again shout out to Sandra from Catherine Barger's office. We've had a call on Fridays the last few weeks that we're all discussing, you know, when can we open, and Catherine Barger has been she's starting to move towards, looks like more opening, like July 4th is going to be a big time for us to reopen, which is the lifeblood of all of our communities. And I appreciate it. Sandra's been, I think I text her every day, twice, I think, and she's responding very well. And, you know, youth sports, all the things is the lifeblood of all of our communities that we need to try to get open safely, obviously under the health guidelines. But as we have low numbers, I think we have 25. We've been doing a very good job in the city. I know we stagger our public works. We're pretty much a full city. We have water, public works, fire, police. We stagger our crews now on public works. Our city manager and our staff are doing a really good job. And I think most all of our staff have been tested and it's gone very well. So just FYI. Thank you.
Thank you, Tim. Great.
We have one more comment from Ed Reese from City of Claremont.
Ed?
Thank you, Madam President. I just want to share briefly in Claremont.
So just this last council meeting, we approved grants, also using CDBG funds. And those grants were both for renter assistance, and it's up to 2 months of rental assistance. Those dollars go directly to the landlord. So kind of talking about previous comments that were made, but those go directly to the landlord. Again, 2 months, up to 2 months of rental assistance. And then we also did a small business grant as well. And that would cover 2 months of payroll, 2 months of utilities, up to $20,000 per applicant. And there was a number of requirements on what an applicant looks like. There was a micro enterprise assistance program and then a special economic development activities program. So we did a number of things to try to help our community here using those CDBG dollars. So it's tough for everybody, but I think all of us are trying to pull together and do what we can to help our communities.
Ed, can I ask you and Tim also, and those of you who have done a small business and rental assistance with CDBG funds, did you use a portion of your CDBG funds to either have a consultant or to help administer that, or is that being done in-house?
We did it in-house.
So in Claremont's case, we had a consultant that helped us design the program, our regular consultant for those funds. And then the administration of it is being done by our assistant city manager.
Okay, do you know what percentage of the amount that you used for the consultant? Was it 5, 10?
You know, I do. I don't have it in front of me though, but I can get that to you.
Okay, thank you.
Yeah. Madam President, we have 3 board members that would like to chime in as well. 4 board members.
Okay.
One coming from Jerry from the city of El Monte.
Okay, Jerry? Jerry, are you there?
Yeah. Can you hear me?
Yes.
Okay. Yes, we also have the assistance for the renters, and we give them 1 month up to $1,200. We had an overwhelming response. We only had enough for 260 residents or renters, and we had about 200 applicants. We also have a small business. We do it also in-house. We didn't use consultants. We also have assistance for the small business grants. We give them $10,000. We only have enough also for about 258 applicants, and we had over 400 that applied. So there's a great need out there, but we were able to use those funds, but we did in-house. We did not use outside consultants.
Thank you.
Another comment from Tim from Pomona.
Tim?
Cynthia, you had asked about Pomona, and we are doing it through our housing authority in collaboration with our community, what we call our COVID-19 Action Committee. Mm-hmm. And like other cities, we're doing rent and food relief. Rent relief is $1,500 per family, per household. And we anticipate being able to help about 600 families. And of course, that money will go to the landlord. And then we have about a little over $500,000 specifically for small business relief. Each business that qualifies will get $5,000. And we're looking at impacting about 120 businesses. And then with our Pomona Compassion Fund, as you may be aware, in Pomona, there are some members of our community that are not eligible for any types of funds. And so this Pomona Compassion Fund is meant to help complement the work that the city is doing. And we've raised approximately $100,000 from individuals, from institutions, and from the philanthropic community.
Great. Thank you.
We have another comment from Gloria from the city of South El Monte.
Gloria?
Hi. So yes, we're also doing the same thing for the small businesses and for the renters.
We also use the CDBG funds, but I don't think you have to get an outside contractor to consult. We use the county, we adopted the county and just adjusted it to our city. Edith has been great in helping us out with that and producing that for us. So I'm sure you could ask your county area for their forms and then just kind of adjust it to your city.
Right.
And it's been a great help, but also I was gonna state, I know we're all probably doing the same things as the cities. Can we get a point of order back onto the agenda and let's finish it up?
We can.
Okay, thank you, ma'am.
Okay. I want to thank everybody for sharing that. I think we learn a lot from what all of us are doing in our own cities, and I thank you all for your dedication to your own cities. Okay, we are going to let's see, where are we? General Counsel's report, David? Nope. Is he muted?
I believe there's 2 general counsel accounts. Let's try unmuting the other one.
Okay.
Can you hear me?
Yes.
Okay, sorry. The reason I have 2 accounts, Alex, is that my work email will not let me access my web camera. So it's the one you unmuted. I don't have anything to report.
Okay, perfect. The committee reports can be found in your agenda. Consent calendar. Do you want to, can we have a motion unless there's anyone who wants to pull an item?
There are 4 raised hands, Madam, 5 raised hands. The first one coming from Peter from the city of Monterey Park.
Peter?
Hi, Peter
Hi.
here. Just want to say that I'm still on the old item, that we still also have the block funds and housing funds to help the small business and residents. And on top of that, we have water, since we have our own water department. So we have a lifeline help for the residents, whoever that need the help. So every month the water bill will be discounted. And that's something that Monterey Park has been doing. Thank you.
Thank you. If the other raised hands are on the consent calendar, we've moved to that item. Can we go, unless those hands are for removing an item, we can always share the best practices by sending those little reports to Marissa, and she can make sure that staff gets them out. Do we have any raised hands on the consent calendar?
Madam President, there were a few board members that lowered their hands, but there are still 5 hands here.
Okay.
The next one is Florencio.
Go ahead. Florencio?
Thank you, Madam President. I actually did want to go back to the Transportation Committee. I did want to make a comment regarding some action that Metro took recently.
Okay.
If that's okay.
Quickly. Thank you.
Yes. So yesterday at Metro's Planning and Programming Committee, Metro provided a presentation on the status of the San Gabriel Valley Transit Feasibility Study. The study was a result of Metro's decision to move forward with the Washington Boulevard alignment for the Gold Line East Side extension. The feasibility study will look at various mobility options like bus rapid transit in the San Gabriel Valley to serve the SR60 corridor cities and nearby communities. During the meeting, Supervisor Solis introduced a motion co-authored by Director Barger and Director Fasana, asking Metro staff to return next month with recommendations to partner with the SGVCOG Capital Projects and Construction Committee to deliver this feasibility study. The supervisor's motion asks Metro to transfer funding to the COG in order for the committee to take on this project. We've spoken to Mark Christoffels, and he and his team are very excited to work on this project. By having the committee take on this task, the governing board will be able to directly incorporate input on the options provided in the feasibility study. The Metro Board of Directors will consider this motion at the board meeting next week. Thank you. And then, Madam President, if I may,
yes.
On consent, I would like to hold item 28.
28. Okay.
Thank you.
Anyone else?
We have another raised hand from Nancy from the city of Diamond Bar.
Nancy?
Yes, I just want to move that consent calendar. So if Florencia moved everything except for item 28, then I will second that.
Okay,
All right, we have one last comment from Adele from City of Alhambra.
Adele?
Yes, I was just going to second that motion.
Okay. All in favor? Are they muted, Alex?
Yes, yes, we have board members that are voting on the consent calendar now.
Okay. So all in favor? I guess you press your little icon.
We do have 26 yeses, 27 yeses.
Okay. Any objections?
No objections.
Okay, so moved. So let's go to item 28, San Gabriel Valley COG, approval of letters supporting federal funding for San Gabriel Valley cities for coronavirus relief. And Jerry, you wanted to pull that item?
And Madam President, we do have 3 raised hands at the moment.
Okay.
The first one goes to Maggie from Rosemead.
Maggie?
Can you hear me?
Yeah.
I just want to make a quick reasoning on the reason we postponed the elections. It was my idea because we've had so many problems with voting, and if somebody was trying to vote and couldn't be unmuted, it would not be fair. So anyway, but as you know, obviously elections, you have to be elected, but last year it would have been my turn if I was elected, but we had just made the ACE-COG merger and there were some legal issues. So we decided it would be better to keep the status quo. This year, of course, might have been my turn, but with COVID, it's just, this is crazy. So I'm fine with postponing it. And then this year would be Cynthia's 3rd year. And then I'm fine with just going September, October, whenever we can do it till May, because it would be Becky Shevlin's turn. So I'm fine with just a few months, but that's why I wanted to just mention that. Thank you.
Okay. Thank you, Maggie. Go ahead, Alex.
Madam President, we've been informed by our presenter that he's only free until 6 p.m. today.
Okay, so why don't we, did we get Jerry back by any chance?
Yes, Jerry is here.
Okay, let's do item 28 and then we can move to our presenter and then go back. How's that?
Okay, we'll be unmuting Jerry right now.
You talking about me, Jerry Velasco?
Yes, Jerry, you pull.
I believe Florencio was going to also pull. Yeah, we wanted to pull a motion 28, correct?
Yes.
Yes.
Okay, do you want to talk about that?
Let's see, hold on, just that I'm here in this car and I can't get my notes. Can you get Florencio on the line? I think he's got.
Okay, well, why don't we move to Florencio? Florencio, if you can make that brief so that we can go to the presentation since he has to leave.
Yes, Madam President, thank you so much. So my motion for item 28, if you'll indulge me, is I would request for the body to bifurcate each item that's before us. So that the 3 items that were on item 28, A, B, and C, so that we can vote on them individually.
Okay. Do we have any objections to that?
I'm sorry. All right, we do have a raised hand from Ed Reese from the City of Claremont, as well as Adele from the City of Alhambra.
Go ahead, Ed. Ed?
I do want clarification from Florencio, if he can. Is he just wanting to exclude from letter B? Or is he wanting to exclude from more than that? Because I could move A and C.
That would be okay with me. My intent here is that the representatives from the county board offices potentially may want to abstain from voting on item B.
Okay, so Madam President, I move item 28, letters A and C.
Do we have a second?
I'll second that.
Okay, any objections?
It appears that we do not have any objections, but we still do have a raised hand from Adele from the city of Alhambra.
Okay,
Yes,
is it on
I-
item?
Yes, I was just going to actually second Ed Reese's suggestion.
Okay, thank you. So that has been moved. Okay, we'll come back to item 29 on the budget so that we can move to our presentation. But that's number 35, correct? No, what number is
Madam
that?
President,
I'm
or,
sorry, 37.
Madam President,
Yes.
are we not going to move on, or are we not going to take a vote on item B?
You're right. We did A and C, correct?
Correct.
Okay, can we have a motion for item B?
Yes, we do have a lot of raised hands here.
Okay, do we have a second? And then we have a second.
Madam President, this is Ed from Claremont. I move item 28B.
Okay, and we have a second?
All right, we have 4 raised hands here. Are any of the raised hands comments or questions by any chance? Okay, we do have raised hands still from District 5, Sandra.
Okay, Sandra?
On this item.
Oh,
I'm sorry. Sandra, I couldn't hear you. What did you say?
We want to be recorded as abstain.
Okay,
And we have one more raised hand from District 4, Lauren.
Lauren?
Hi, abstain as well, please.
Thank you.
And this is
Okay.
District 1. We will also abstain from this item.
Okay. Do we have a second?
Right. Yes, we do.
Okay,
In the city of Alhambra.
I'll second
Okay.
it. I will
And-
second it.
okay, we have the abstentions. Are there any objections? Okay, we can move on then. So I believe, Alex, we're going to move to item 37, correct? The presentation?
Yes, Madam President.
So we're going to move to item 37, presentation. Update on Los Angeles County Homeless Initiative activities, and Phil Ansel as director. Welcome. It's all yours.
Thank you very much. Good evening. Thank you for accommodating me. I had a bit of
Sure.
a misunderstanding around the timing, and I have a major call with state budget staff at 6 o'clock, trying to maximize funding for homelessness.
Go ahead.
Which I'll make. So this presentation is far too long to present in the time that remains available. So will it be possible for this presentation to be distributed to the executive committee after tonight's meeting? Hello?
Yeah, yeah, we can do that.
Okay, great. And then in terms of navigating the presentation, is that something I can do or something that someone else will be doing for me?
Our staff will be clicking for you.
Okay, great. So this is really 2 presentations in one, a quick overview of the homeless initiative, and then a focus on COVID response. And again, given the time available, it won't be possible to really sort of to go through everything. So if you could go to the next slide, please. Next slide, please. So as you know, we have a crisis of homelessness throughout Los Angeles County, 59,000 as of January 2019, 3/4 unsheltered. Next slide, please. And we see, as you all know, of course, that this is a countywide phenomenon. As of January 2019, 8.5% of the countywide homeless population was in the San Gabriel Valley. Next slide, please. So again, as I think you all know, the county in late 2015 developed a comprehensive response to the countywide crisis of homelessness. Next slide, please. Which led in turn to the voter approval of Measure H in March 2017, which since July 2017 has been supporting roughly a quadrupling of the homeless service delivery system in Los Angeles County. Next slide, please. You see that here in the 30 months since Measure H began enhancing services and rental subsidies, an enormous number of people have been helped. Over 24,000 people engaged by outreach teams, 39,000 people entering interim housing, emergency shelter, other interim housing funded in whole or in part by Measure H, and nearly 20,000 family members and individuals exiting permanent housing directly as a result of Measure H. Next slide, please. This just refers you to a series of evaluations, independent third-party evaluations that have delved deeply into the effectiveness of Measure H funded strategies and opportunities for enhancements. Next slide. Next slide, please. Despite the fact that in 2018, the homeless service delivery system helped more than twice as many people move into permanent housing as was the case in 2015, the homeless population went up by 12%. And this slide illustrates why. If you can go to the next 3 slides, please. There we go. What this shows us, and this was pre-pandemic, that over 500,000 households in renter households in Los Angeles County were spending over 50% of their income as rent. And therefore, that enormous number of people are at extreme risk of falling into homelessness. That we see here that we estimate that 54,882 people in Los Angeles County became homeless in 2018, even though, as we see at the same time in the next 2 numbers, 21,631 plus 27,080, nearly 49,000 people exited homelessness. So if we break that down by day, that means that 133 people per day in Los Angeles County exited homelessness in 2018, but 150,000 people per day became homeless. Next slide. So as I was just illustrating, inflow into homelessness, even pre-COVID, is a central challenge here, and that 63% of people experiencing homelessness as of January 2019 were in their first lifetime episode of homelessness. Next slide. This shows you that most Measure H funding is used for prevention, outreach, permanent supportive housing, rapid rehousing, and shelter and other forms of interim housing. Next slide. Next slide. Here you see the Measure H funded contracts, specifically in the San Gabriel Valley with Union Station, VOA, Hathaway Sycamores, the Home for Life Foundation, the city, and the City of Pomona Housing Authority. These are contracts that are specific to the San Gabriel Valley. There are additional countywide contracts that also serve the San Gabriel Valley. Next slide, please. Next slide. As you know, the county funded interested cities to develop individual city homelessness plans and is now funding those cities who applied to support implementation of their plans. And this slide identifies those cities in the San Gabriel Valley who have received that funding, over $4 million, to support implementation of their homelessness plans, with a brief description of the way in which that's being utilized. These grants are to help cities complement the countywide service planning area-based homeless service delivery system, and to take land use activity to increase the supply of interim, affordable, and supportive housing. Next slide, please. Next slide. Next slide. Next slide. Okay, so now I want to spend a few minutes talking about the county's response to COVID-19 for people experiencing homelessness, you see here we have 3 core objectives. To first, maintain shelter capacity and, excuse me, just trying to make my slide a little bigger here. There we go. To expand shelter capacity, and that includes Project Roomkey, which I'll talk about in a moment. Secondly is to assist people who remain unsheltered, particularly with outreach and hygiene services. And finally, to provide quarantine and isolation countywide for people experiencing homelessness who are COVID positive or suspected of being COVID positive for what is generally a 14-day quarantine period. Next slide. So Project Roomkey, as most of you know, is a project sponsored by Governor Newsom with funding from the state and the federal government through FEMA, which allows counties throughout the state to lease hotels and motels for an initial period of 3 months to serve those individuals who are asymptomatic and are not COVID positive, but who are either age 65 and over or have a chronic health condition that makes them particularly vulnerable to hospitalization should they contract the virus. So this project is to protect them and to protect the community at large and the community's hospital and health service capacity. Next slide. In addition, as I mentioned, to helping the community from a public health standpoint and the people who are housed, this is very helpful for the businesses that are able to remain open and bring in revenue at a time where there's very little occupancy in hotels and motels, and to generate the transient occupancy tax for cities that have such a tax. Next slide. These are not walk-up sites. People are selected as indicated through the homeless service providers, law enforcement, healthcare providers, and through calls to a call center. Next slide. On the hotel operations side, we see that LAHSA, Los Angeles Homeless Services Authority, is coordinating the overall operation with 6 weeks of initial support, logistical support from the LA County Fire Department, which has enabled the sites to be implemented and progress in a way, overall in a way which is quite smooth. We have nearly 30 sites currently operational and agreements in place with about 35 sites. Each of the sites includes 24-hour security, 1 security guard for every 50 residents, registered nurse from 7 a.m. to 7 p.m., and on-site homeless service provider, and disaster service workers from the county. And we just distributed to the COGS today an invitation, second invitation for cities who might want to assign their staff to work as disaster service workers at the Roomkey sites, which will enable the cities to capture up to 75% federal funding for FEMA through FEMA to offset the costs of those employees. Next slide. Next slide. So as I meant, this gives you the numbers that I've already mentioned in the San Gabriel Valley. I'm delighted to say that there are 7 Project Roomkey sites spread from the far west end to the far east end of the San Gabriel Valley, with multiple sites in between. There has historically been a relative shortage of shelter in the San Gabriel Valley. So this is an excellent opportunity to make temporary shelter available at communities throughout the San Gabriel Valley. People are offered slot beds in rooms at the Project Roomkey hotels and motels based on geography. So initially, it's people who are homeless and eligible in the city or an incorporated community where the hotel or motel is located, followed by immediate surrounding communities, followed by the rest of Service Planning Area 3. So all of these sites are only serving people experiencing homelessness in the San Gabriel Valley. Next slide. We are committed to ensuring that no one exits Project Roomkey to homelessness, and therefore to ensuring that people exit to permanent housing, which is our first choice, and to some other form of interim housing as a second choice. And we will be looking for permanent housing throughout the county with no focus on where the Project Room Key sites are specifically located. And there was a motion from the Board of Supervisors on May 12th, to which LAHSA will be responding initially next Tuesday, that addresses the broader post-COVID recovery strategy for people experiencing homelessness, including Project Room Key. Next slide. Next slide. I mentioned the isolation and quarantine beds. Those are for anyone who needs to be isolated or quarantined, who can't do so safely in their own home, either because they're homeless or because they live in crowded conditions or otherwise unable to isolate or quarantine in their own home. Next slide, please. Okay, there you go. Sorry to have to do that so quickly, and I'm pleased that you'll be able to receive the presentation. We have a few minutes. I have a few minutes available if there's any questions you'd like to raise.
Phil, can I ask you if anyone has any questions that we can't get to, if they could just email them to you?
Absolutely.
Great, thank you. Do we have some raised hands?
We do have one from Peter from the city of Monterey Park.
Okay, Peter.
Hi, Mr. Ansel. This is Peter Chen from Monterey Park.
Hello.
And you know that, hi. You know that you have 2 hotels that is under the Project Room Key in city of Monterey Park. So we have done our part. And my question is, what's the exit plan? Can you have specifically tell us what is the plan? Because we do receive a lot of, well, there was split opinion on this Project Room Key. Some residents opposed, some residents agree to help the homeless. It's always like that. But the main focus right now is that the contract is up to June 30th, next month. And then people are worried about, what happened after June 30th. And so I would like to hear from you directly that what will happen? How do you transfer them out? Where do they go? People just want to know if they will be scattered around in the city, and that would not be a good sight.
Of course. Yeah, thank you for asking. And I'm afraid this may be the only verbal question given the timing. So as I mentioned, the county is committed to ensuring that no one exits Project Room Key to the street. We are working with our partners to identify the various permanent housing subsidies that are already available in a homeless services system. And we're exploring the need to fund additional rental subsidies to ensure that everyone from Project Room Key exits to permanent housing or to interim housing. So it's a 2-part process. One is putting together the inventory in various categories, and the other is assessing and matching each individual to what makes sense for them. Some people need long-term rental subsidy with intensive services, which we call permanent supportive housing. Some people will need a short-term rental subsidy with services. Some people may only need a shallow subsidy. Someone getting $900 a month from SSI, they might only need $500 a month of a rental subsidy to be able to rent a room in a house. We're definitely exploring offering shallow subsidies for people in Project Room Key. I also want to say that the deadline for the leases at this point is 3 months from when they were executed. So we have agreements that executed this week. They're going to run all the way into August as things stand now. And we will, if there's a need to explore extending motels or hotels in order to ensure that everyone can exit to interim or permanent housing, that's definitely part of the plan that we're looking at. So we understand the concern, and we share it, and we share the commitment. So thank you very much for having me. I'm going to have to sign off, but I'll be delighted to receive any written questions that you might have to share. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Phil. I'm sure that you'll get a few of those. Thank you. Okay, we are going to move to our closed session. So those who are not participating in the closed session, please exit the conference line. Katie, will you do that?
Yep. So if I could, yeah, again, ask everyone to leave that's not supposed to be on the call. I have a few things I need to stop the live stream and then just do a double check of all the attendees, and then I'll let you know when I'm ready.
Thank you.